Good morning, beloveds. Coming to you from my backyard. I figured since I think this is our last pandemic sermon from the Synod office, at least for this season, that I wanted to be outside, wanting to feel life all around. So you may hear the noises of my neighborhood, of dogs barking and birds chirping. Maybe a child will run by. It feels good to recline and to celebrate life. Because if I'm honest, there are moments when I feel too broken beyond healing. And there are seasons when I wonder if we as the church, as a society, are a shattered people beyond repair, too far gone. And I felt that hard at times, especially this year. Found my heart on my knees. This is just too much. If I am not alone, if you have ever felt broken apart or strewn to the edges, if hope has shriveled like an apple core my kid discarded on the car floor, life has felt more like death, this may be your gospel story this morning. And these ancient siblings, a bleeding out woman and a child on her deathbed, her desperate father, they may be your saints. My heart pounded in my chest reading these stories, this story we hear this morning. It's just so much. A piling on of pain and fear and grief. There were moments of the pandemic when I literally felt like I would jump out of my skin or puddle into my bed and not get out. Life stopped, and then 100,000 dead, and 200,000 dead, 600,000 dead, and just in this country. And then another Black man murdered by our systems, another. And perhaps you are a Black man or the mother, sister, beloved of a Black sibling, breath squeezed out of you daily by our systems, and a collective refusal to see and speak truth. And then, on top of it all, work from home with your kids on your lap, and then keep working from home. Or maybe you don't have work anymore, or you are alone, so very alone. And I know I was scared because of the numbing. And I wasn't alone in that. Another glass of wine and retail therapy. My streets recycling bins and Amazon trucks tell that story. So much pain and fear and grief. Jesus crosses the river and the crowds are waiting again. People are congregating, taking to the streets. Some things are not right. Jesus has just come from liberating the man from the tombs, the one they called Legion, unshackling him from the trauma of systemic violence and subjugation of the state. And now Jesus steps off the boat in a different neighborhood among a different people. And the story is not so different. There is a dis-ease among the people. And back to back, almost simultaneously, a child at the point of death, a father desperate, begging Jesus to save her, and a woman who has been bleeding for 12 years, which means she has lived in isolation. She has lived a pandemic life for 12 years, failed by those sworn to heal her, protect her, now destitute. She reaches out through societal lines, breaking social order, risking everything, and puts both her and Jesus' lives on the line for the outrageous hope of life. It's a pressure cooker here in the Gospel of Mark, and everyone is in the squeeze, including Jesus. And there is this heartbreaking moment in the midst, right? When it seems that the ways of the world have won. When the woman has been healed, but it seems because of her life, because Jesus stopped in the midst for this healing, the child has died. There is only so much life to go around. So one must be sacrificed. It was all just too much. But the only thing more relentless in this story than oppression and death and the subsequent pain and fear and grief is grace. I don't mean love undeserved, as if these are soulfully depraved human beings that God takes pity on. They are living amidst soulfully depraved systems, for sure. I mean, love that just shouldn't be. Love against all odds. Love without military backing. Love that risks. Love big and boundless, yet nearly imperceivable, flying below the radar. Subversive love, love unexpected, wild love that cracks through the foundations of empire, collective cynicism, and even the numbing we do to survive. Yes, love disarmed and unearned, because it is the love we are made from and for. Love that reaches out in the outrageous hope of life and puts bodies and communities back together again, and grabs your hand, raises you from the dead, and makes sure they saved you a plate of food at the dinner table. Sounds like my grandmother. Divine grandmotherly love. Beloveds, if you have felt shattered this year at any point beyond repair, if you have looked out and wondered, are we too far gone? Let me introduce you to the woman encrusted with blood dancing in the streets in the flow of peace, shalom, wholeness that passes all understanding. And the child whose skin has gone cold, who then gets up to eat. Because dying is famishing and new life could use some caloric intake. Let me introduce you to the saints. They are our saints, kissing the foreheads of the saints of 2020 and 2021. Beloveds, I am curious, how were you moved to touch the divine this year? How were you moved to touch the divine this year? Remember that. Take a moment. And how in the midst of so much death did life grab you by the hand and raise you up? Let's not forget our own stories, saints. Because you are still here, and that is a miracle. And the deeper reality that holds all of us, those still with us and those who the world has sacrificed, those we have lost. And we know no one is lost. I am curious too what we have been put back together for. I'm pondering this. Whom have we been raised to love? Because while we don't get to hear what happens to the woman after she is healed and recentered in the community, we don't get to hear what happens to the child after she is done with dinner. If the gospel pattern holds, their lives don't stay the same. They are put back together in a new way, for the way. Let's tell the rest of her story, beloveds, shall we? From the wisdom of our broken and broken open souls. Let's tell the rest of that child's story from our deep life that has touched death and made life anyway. You were made from this love, for this love, saints. Yours is the kiss of peace to share, after you take time to dance wildly and feast. Peace be with you. Amen.